been doing a lot of pocket watching lately on the Tennessee Titans. They've been blowing a lot of that green stuff, and I ain't talking about that stuff you smoke. They blowing through a lot of that cash, and they've been spending it this offseason. And I'm wondering, how close are they to maxing out those credit cards? Because it feels like they've been hell of aggressive so far up to this point in the offseason when it comes to improving their team. They traded for La'Jarius Snead. They pretty much got him for a bag of chips and a flat Coca-Cola. He allowed no touchdowns last season. And he definitely is going to become one of the highest paid cornerbacks in the league. But not only are you going to make L'Jarius Snead one of the highest paid corners in the game, but you signed Calvin Ridley to a 4-year deal worth $92 million. $50 million of that is going to be fully guaranteed. You gave center Lloyd Cushenberry a pretty big deal. 4 years, $50 million, $26 million guaranteed, $18 million signing bonus. You signed Chidobe Awuzie, former Cincinnati Bengals corner, 3-year deal, $36 million, $23 million fully guaranteed for a guy who's coming off an injury that sidelined him for a big part of last year. The Titans have been mega aggressive this year, and they've been spending a lot of that cash, and they definitely still have a lot of room to improve, but this is a way better team right now than what they were around this time last year. Last year, Mike Vrabel was pretty much just trying to throw shit at the wall and just hoping that he can make something work. With the free agency moves that the Titans have made, it seems as if they're going all in, or not just trying to win as quickly as possible, but they're trying to build around quarterback Will Levis. Now, Ran Carthon is going to be a really important person that if you're a non-Titans fan, you need to keep up with him, because all these moves are mostly due to him, because he has a lot of control in the Titans organization. You see, the reason why Mike Vrabel got fired is because him and Ran Carthon had a power struggle. And eventually, the Tennessee Titans owner pretty much sided with the side of Ran Carthon. She said, we appreciate everything you've done for us, Mike Vrabel, but we're going with Ran Carthon. Ran Carthon has had a large say in the coaches that, Brian Callahan has assembled on his staff. He has control of the personnel decisions. He's going to be running the drive for Tennessee as well. So a lot of Tennessee's success is going to stem on how successful these free agency acquisitions and the draft ends up being by Ran Carthon. Is he going to be able to make the right selections in the draft? Has he made the right free agency signings? Because being aggressive in free agency definitely makes you look like a way better team on paper, but it doesn't always translate to the success that you think it should on the field. We've seen plenty of teams have an aggressive approach in free agency in the past, then they end up not even making it to the playoffs. Prime example last year, who was a team last year that spent a lot of money and didn't go nowhere? Like the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were spending money. They get Calvin Ridley in the trade for the Falcons. Everybody thinks it's a big steal, and they don't make it to the playoffs. Like the Dallas Cowboys. They went all in last season, made a lot of big free agency moves, traded for Brandon Cooks. You get Stephon Gilmore, and you do all that just to go one and done in the playoffs. By looking at the Cowboys roster on paper, you would have thought that they would have been no less than a Super Bowl contender, at least making it to the NFC Conference Championship game. So just because you always go super aggressive in free agency, another team that just popped up in my head, the team I was looking for, the New York Giants. Like, everybody was praising the New York Giants for the free agency moves and acquisitions that they made last year, trading for Darren Waller, signing Paris Campbell, drafting Jalen Hyatt. Everybody was so excited about last year for the Giants, and then ultimately turned into a huge disappointment because all of their off-season moves that looked good on paper didn't translate to success on the field. And maybe we see the same with the Tennessee Titans. Now, I definitely do view the Titans as a team that definitely can go from worst to first Because, I mean, if Will Levis ends up taking a big step in year 2, and with this offensive line improving, if they add Joe Alt to solidify the left side of that offensive line, they definitely could be more than capable of being a playoff team. But that defense, to me, still has a lot of room for improvement. I'm still not a big fan of their current linebacker situation. You signed Kenneth Murray, 2-year deal, $15.5 million, which isn't an overpay, but to me, you signed the guy who is a bust. He hasn't shown you anything his first few seasons to display that he's a quality starter in the league. And based on the analytics, having Kenneth Murray starting for you at linebacker actually puts your defense at a disadvantage because he's that bad. He can't cover. Like, he's inconsistent against the run. Like, I just didn't understand what they were doing with that move. And then you sign Calvin Ridley, who he's definitely a really good number 2, but he hasn't really shown the ability to be a consistent number 1. And I know what you Titans fans are thinking. Man, we got Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, even though he did have 1,000 yards last year, you definitely could tell that he slowed down a little bit. He wasn't the same D-Hop that we've seen in previous years. And with him only getting older, he's only going to regress even more. And he was 31 years old last year. He's going to be 32 this year. And I get he is a Hall of Fame player. Hall of Fame level players regress at a slower rate than your average player. But we don't even know if D-Hop is going to be able to have the same amount of production this season that he had last year. And then you got Treylon Burks, who you're probably going to play in the slot. That's a position that he played a lot when he was at Arkansas during his college days, and maybe he's just better suited to play that slot receiver role than being a primary outside receiver, a Z or an X. But, you know, there's still some holes that the Titans have to fill on their roster, and there definitely are a lot of questions that we're not going to get the answer to until the season kicks off. Like, a big part in determining how successful the Titans are going to be this season is going to come down to if Ran Carthon made the right moves in free agency. Was paying Calvin Ridley a massive overpay? Does it piss you off how much you pay for your monthly phone bill? Why are you getting frustrated when our partner Mint Mobile has plans as low as $15 a month that give you unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network? Stop getting frustrated with how much you spend on your monthly phone bill and go to trymintmobile.com/JT Sports and description and pin comment down below to get access to premium wireless for only $15 a month. That's only $15 a month. Switching to Mint is easy. It only takes 15 minutes to do. If you're pissed off with how much you pay for your monthly phone bill, switch to Mint Mobile today and go to trymintmobile.com/JT Sports in description and pin comment down below to get premium wireless for only $15 a month. Stop getting upset with how much you spend on your monthly phone bill and switch to Mint Mobile today. Was trading for La'Jarius Snead the right move? You know, are they going to make the right picks in the draft this upcoming year? Those are the questions that, those answers that we get are going to define how good Ran Carthon is at his job and how well the Tennessee Titans are going to be suited for success in the future, especially if Will Levis, you know, ends up developing and he takes a big step up this year. The Titans definitely could be a playoff team, but what if Will Levis just had 2 or 3 one-off games where he played well and we see more of what we saw out of him for the majority of the games that he started? And outside of that Miami and Atlanta game, all the other games Will Levis played were not that good. And we've seen instances like Drew Lock, the end of his first season in Denver, his last final games in Denver were really good. And then he gets the full-time opportunity to be the starter, and he looks abysmal. Could that be the same with Will Levis? You know, when we look at Will Levis' film last year, there definitely is a lot to like. There definitely is a lot to be excited for. But at the same time, there's not enough that gives me confidence to say, yeah, the Titans are a lock to go from worst to best in the AFC South. I still need to see more out of Will Levis. We got a small sample size of Will Levis playing at a high level. We don't have a large sample size of Will Levis playing at a high level on a consistent week-to-week basis like we've seen out of C.J. Stroud and sometimes out of Trevor Lawrence. But I do like what the Titans have done in free agency up to this point. You definitely have to be aggressive. You want to try to win now, and you got an opportunity to win now because the division is wide open. Everybody thinks that the AFC South is Houston's to lose, and it's the same mistake that people made with the Jacksonville Jaguars around this same time last year. People were already assuming that the AFC South was the Jaguars to lose, and out of nowhere, the Texans came and won it. And the same thing could be said about this division this year. Houston looks like the favorite, but Tennessee could come out of nowhere if all of these acquisitions and moves that were made by Rand Carthon end up panning out. I definitely believe there's a path to Tennessee being the biggest surprise team in the league in 2024. But overall, I still want to see what Tennessee does in the draft. That offensive line still kind of concerns me. Your defense definitely looks really good with what you have on the secondary. I rather just take a wait and see approach with Tennessee because I've seen how these teams that have dominated free agency in the offseason have done when the actual season kicks off, and they don't really do too much of anything most of the times.